Taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Volvo V60. This is the regular gas engine version of the vehicle, so it's a mild hybrid. There is the option for the plug-in hybrid version though, and the gauges will look slightly different there. But outside of that, the functionality is going to be the exact same. So let's dive in and I'll show you what you need to know. Steering wheel inside of the ride is going to be heated, so along the bottom part of the screen, you could hit the steering wheel icon there, and there are 3 unique levels for the heated steering wheel, and it's heated all the way around. The steering wheel inside of the ride is also manual telescoping, so just in between the steering wheel columns there, between your legs, there's a release, and you're going to go in, out, up, and down to find that perfect position. Once you do, click it in order to lock it back into place. And there are so many different things that you need to know, but one thing I'll point out that's not steering wheel related, along the driver's side door, you've got the memory buttons here, and that's the same way along the passenger. So what you're going to do is get your driver's seat set up the way that you'd like. There's also an individual switch that you can hit in order to turn on massage seats if that was available, but you can adjust the side bolsters along the seat cushion, you can adjust your lumbar support a bit more, and even adjust out the leg cushion. So you get that set up the way that you'd like to. You're going to set up your side view mirror the way that you'd like to using the switches here. And then once you've got that set up, you're going to hit M1 or 2, and that's going to remember your own personal profile. So if multiple people are driving the vehicle, very useful to know. The stick on the left-hand side is going to be for your lights. So you've got a few different light modes that are available. You've got your off mode along the very bottom versus your auto mode along the very top. And when you're in auto, you can go up one more level, and that's going to put you into an auto headlamp mode. And what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes your high beams are needed, it's automatically going to turn them on. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to turn them off before turning them right back on again. So you can go into your auto mode. You can't permanently lock your high beams out though when you're in that auto mode, so you can just flash them. If you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out, drop down one level into your headlamp mode. You can push away to turn them on, pull towards you to turn them off. But honestly, I just recommend keeping yourself in that auto mode instead the majority of the time. And then you can also turn on your front or your rear fog lamps as well. Stick along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers, so you've got different options there. When you're in the 1-up mode, you could then use the little rocker switch in the middle to say how fast the rain is hitting your windshield. There's a button on the tip of that right stick in order to be able to adjust out your rear wiper as well. You're going to pull towards you for the front wiper fluid, and you're going to push away in order to get that rear wiper fluid going instead. And there are so many different buttons. The ones along the left-hand side here are going to be for your adaptive cruise control system. So you've got the adaptive cruise there, and there's this little icon along the very bottom. That's for Pro Pilot Assist. With it turned on, if the vehicle recognizes your lane markings with the cruise control system on, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. So even if you take your hands off the steering wheel for up to 12 seconds-ish, in my experience, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced as long as it recognizes the lane markings. If you've opted for turning the Pilot Assist off, it's just going to be regular adaptive cruise. So when you hit the button, that's going to essentially turn on the adaptive cruise at whatever your current set speed is. So if you're traveling at 37 kilometers an hour, turn it on, it's going to hold you at 37. You could then push up in order to get to the nearest 5 or 0. So 37 would become 40, 45, 50, etc., or 35, 30, 25, etc. there. You could then push and hold up or push and hold down to get to the nearest 1. So it's going to bring you to 38, 39, 40 by pushing and holding that way instead. And then you've got a distance indicator. So it's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. So there are 4 unique levels. And I want you to think of that one almost like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi type of a rule for how close or far you are away from that car in front of you. Level 1 is okay on residential streets or in stop and go traffic. And you might want to be at level 2, maybe level 3, depending on your own comfort level for regular highway traffic. But that's going to come down to a matter of personal preference. But if you want to see the adaptive cruise control system in action, check down in the description of this video. Buttons along the right-hand side, you've got a few different options here. So there's a voice command prompt where you'd be able to do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice. If your phone is hooked up over Apple CarPlay, you could do a longer button push and hold instead, and that would activate your Siri assistant. From there, there's this little pages button, so you can hit that in order to blank out the screen, but if you had an active route going, it would show you turn-by-turn directions. So if we have a route going right now, so let's just randomly select one of these options here and start. Watch this. You've got your map available here off to the right side, but you've got full map and cluster available here too. So very useful. And then if you hit that pages button again, that's going to bring you into a turn-by-turn direction. So if you'd like something a little bit more subtle, you've got that flexibility. From there, you can change between songs or stations if you'd like to. You could go up or down this way in order to get volume going as well. And then you've got this little guy. So this button is going to bring up your trip counter. So you've got your trip manual counter or your trip auto counter from the last time the vehicle was filled up. So you've got options there. You can reset your manual counter by doing a push and hold on the stick on the right-hand side. So there's a button there. But you can see what's going on with your total trip counter. And as we move in, a few other things there. So you've got your total odometer reading along the very bottom. And then on the screen itself, there are a boatload of other options. So you can see what's going on with your speed. You've got a digital speed there, whether or not your headlamps are on, off, etc. If your lane keeping system was turned on, your current outside temperature, if your seatbelts were on for you, the passenger, it's essentially whatever there's weight recognized inside of the vehicle, and then your tachometer along the right-hand side. If you were in the plug-in hybrid, this would essentially be split in half, with the lower half being for your regenerative braking gauge versus the upper half being for your power gauge, so more like your traditional tachometer instead. You can see what's going on for your current gear, so whether that's park, reverse, neutral, drive, whatever the case may be, or into a manual mode, and then park from there. You've also got a current trip counter along the very bottom, and then your fuel gauge, so you can see your fuel this way versus total kilometers or miles to empty instead. Through the infotainment system, you've got the flexibility to be able to adjust that out as well. So you've got a series of different options for driving controls and things like that. If we hop into controls, you'd have the flexibility of adjusting things out. So along the very bottom, you'd be able to adjust this out. So whether there's nothing showing there for your trip information, auto versus your manual mode instead. And then as we navigate through here, we're looking for system. Then you've got units. And then units, you've got distance and volume, and then your speed are the two that you're going to look at. So you can be in either metric or imperial, and that's going to change out your trip counters along the very bottom there. But then you can also change out your gauges to either miles or kilometers per hour instead. So that's going to be a matter of preference, but you've got a number of different options available here too. And then there was one other one in controls, and that's going to be for an available head-up display. So it's not standard across the V60 lineup, but if your Volvo had it, boom, head-up display. So you can see there your head-up display with an active route going. It would show you your turn-by-turn directions there as well as you start to drive. It's actually a really neat setting. You do have the flexibility of being able to adjust it out. So if you wanted to adjust your brightness, the height, whatever the case may be, you've got the flexibility to do it. It's flickering right now. It doesn't look like that in person. And then if you're wearing a pair of sunglasses, you can see it as long as you're in maximum brightness as well. You can adjust the rotation and so many other things inside of the head-up display. So you can kind of customize it.
Head southwest toward Henry Street, Durham Regional Road 45.
There we go. And make it your own. But if you want a full walkthrough on the infotainment system, you'll find it down below. But that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Volvo V60.